All right, welcome back to Flack of Socks, the podcast, episode 228. Today on the show, fires continue to ravage LA. We're going to tell you what's going on and how it got so out of hand. Then, Trump and Obama had a lighthearted exchange at Jimmy Carter's funeral. We're going to tell you what a lip reader said they said. Then after that, in Urban Decay, we have more New York City subway violence paired with some new crime stats that will really open your eyes as to what's going on out there. All this and more, it's Flack of Socks, the podcast, episode 228, ranked the best news podcast of all time.
Because words are just words until action actually starts. And actions speak louder than words. But at the same time, words speak louder than actions because sometimes it's the right thing to do. Very cool. Very cool.
It's Flack of Socks, the podcast, featuring Richard Grabboy.
All right, one for one on the intro, as always. Guys, we're in crunch time right now. A new administration's about to be sworn in, and as good as that sounds, it also means there's a few days left for our enemies to stir up some trouble. That could mean a cyber attack, an invasion, or God forbid, a nuclear strike. So until long-term bureaucrats are out of Washington, I'm not taking any chances, and that's why I have an emergency food supply from My Patriot Supply. Right now, they're offering $100 off of their 3-month emergency food kits. It's 2,000 calories a day for 3 whole months. Plenty to get you through even a prolonged emergency. All of their food kits last up to 25 years and come in weatherproof buckets. Go to preparewithfleckus.com right now and get your 3-month emergency food kit. I've got mine because there's nothing more important than my own safety and security. It's time for you to get yours. Preparewithfleckus.com is the website. $100 off a 3-month emergency food kit is the offer. And as always, it ships fast and free. Preparewithfleckus.com is the website. Thank you to My Patriot Supply for sponsoring. It's linked in the description. Let's get into housekeeping. All right, thank you to My Patriot Supply for sponsoring.
Thank you, My Patriot Supply.
We always need to be prepared.
You think some of the people who fled LA would have liked to flee with some sandwiches?
Or some emergency food supply.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably don't do sandwiches. Sandwiches don't store well, but you get the point.
The food supply they give has a tremendous shelf life.
All right.
Okay, we have a very packed show today. It's one of those episodes where something major happened, and a lot of the bandwidth needs to go to that. So we're going to be talking about the LA wildfires a lot, how it happened, what led up to it, who's in charge. But we're going to get to that later in housekeeping. We're going to start with some quick stories first before we get into the meat. First things first, Trump and Obama were hanging out at Jimmy Carter's funeral, and they had a little exchange here. And then a lip reader has what they said.
Yeah, this is a New York Post forensic lip reader decipher. It said, Trump leaned towards Obama and said, "I've pulled out of that. It's the conditions. Can you imagine that?" Obama laughed as Trump added, "And after, I will. Call me at the foyer after." Yep, Trump replied to Obama during their exchange, possibly referring to the National Cathedral's foyer. Obama then said, it should be good. I can't talk. We have to find a quiet place sometime. This is a matter of importance, and we need to do this outside so that we can deal with it, certainly today," Trump said as Obama nodded.
Interesting. So Obama and Trump need to have a private conversation.
Sounds like they're pulling, Trump wants to pull out of some sort of agreement or something. I don't really have my finger on the pulse of what Obama-era agreements Trump is really going to yank
Hopefully
out
it's NATO or the UN.
Those are big ones. Those are big ones for
Obama's like, no, you can't do that.
And how is Obama involved at this point? He hasn't been president for 8 years, you know? It's obviously all his staffers who puppeted Joe Biden through his term. But, you know, it's kind of weird. What could you really be doing?
Yeah, it depends what you think. Maybe Joe Biden's term was mostly Obama and his people, so then Trump's kind of just talking to the current president.
Yeah. The guy who's talking through the earpiece, as we've shown on the show.
So it could be something like that. And then also, apparently, Obama and Michelle Obama aren't on great terms. That's why she wasn't there, apparently.
That's the through the grapevine reporting. We're not positive on that, but yeah, she wasn't there. So there's the evidence.
Oh, yeah, exactly. All right, our next story, Miss America has been crowned, and it's Miss Alabama. So Miss America 2025 is this lovely woman here.
Blonde, a real woman, attractive, standard.
Nice white girl.
Yeah.
And you kind of, when you see this, and we see what the Miss Americas have been in the past, and Miss Universe and all that stuff, the trans people. the unattractive people.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me a little suspicious. You know, like this is how you get treated before you get dragged into a war for Israel or something.
Yeah, this is like the military getting steak and lobster on a random Tuesday, and they go, "What? What's happening here?"
Oh, we got lobster claws and crab for dinner.
Yeah, white guys appearing in the military propaganda again. You go, "Huh, that's strange."
So who knows?
Yeah, could be nothing. Could be a tsunami about to happen.
Something could be cooking up. Our next story, the FBI released a new clip, a video clip of the pipe bomber from January 6th, from January 5th. And it's from obviously years ago, and we haven't seen this yet. But here's the video playing in the background, and people who know footage and film have noticed that the frame rate got completely botched, and then there's these little dots of blurs that have been added in after, in like an editing software app, where they're blurring the eyes so you can't actually figure out who it is using biometrics.
Dark.
Yeah.
Someone's up to no good. And then I think we had been talking about it, how similar the bombs looked to some training materials.
Yes, the pipe bomb that was placed on January 5th looked exactly like the pipe bombs the FBI trains with. It's like a pipe and it has like a white timer on it.
A little coincidence?
Yeah, maybe they just took it from the storage unit at work.
Yeah, I mean it's ugly, but I mean this is one of those stories that like should have been so heavily investigated. Like, wouldn't you want to pin? Like, it's a coup and an insurrection with no guns, right? The whole thing was no weapons. Everyone was just kind of meandering around. Wouldn't you want to nail the pipe bomber more than anyone else? That's like the evidence of someone planning something. And the fact that they haven't been able to.
I'd like to nail the pipe bomber, but then the FBI is protecting the pipe bomber.
It's what it seems. That's what you're implying here. I am not going to go as far as that, but I'm suspicious.
I'm heavily implying. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the fires in California section. This is our biggest section of the whole show.
Yeah.
Before we get into anything, it's a very sad situation. A lot of normal people, good Americans, have lost their houses, their lives, everything they worked for their whole life.
Yeah.
So it's very sad.
The entire neighborhood, certain things like the entire grid, the Palisades and stuff like that, there's nowhere to go back to. And then the bottleneck of rebuilding that, some of this shit is going to take like 10, 15 years. There was a lot of pure Americana there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, think about when LA sprung up, and it was kind of like the post-war is when a lot of that really boomed. It's like pure America suburbia. So it's really sad to see a lot of that shit.
The architecture, the film, the history, LA is a serious cornerstone in American culture.
Yeah.
And it's gotten out of hand, obviously, lately. But back in the day, it was in a good spot. So it's sad to see it burn. We're going to go over a lot of things here. First, who's in charge of the LA Fire Department? It's these three lesbians.
It's a bunch of lesbians, and their names are all some variation of Kristen.
So we're going to go through it. We have Kristen Crowley. She's the first LGBTQ fire chief. She makes almost $500K and went to Harvard Business School.
Yeah.
Interesting. The next person, Christina Kepner, first lesbian assistant chief to the LA Fire Department, Harvard Kennedy School for managing diverse organizations. So a lot of Harvard and a lot of focus on, I don't know, they teach you how to put out a fire at Harvard?
Yeah, the Harvard Firefighting School, I think that's right outside of the the astronomy scene over there.
And then we have Christine Larson, LA Fire Department's first lesbian equity bureau chief.
How much does that pay?
$400K a year.
Crazy numbers. That's what like the president makes, I'm pretty sure.
I think it's more. Yeah. It's close. And then co-founder of Equity on Fire. So we have all these lesbians, and they're focused on everything except for putting out fires and fire readiness.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, who would have thought you get the first lesbian chief, and then the next week you get the first deputy chief lesbian, you know? It's like one by one they peel each other in, and then, you know, that's who's in charge. It's like there's a certain level of promoting from the ranks that needs to happen, and like, oh, this guy's seen everything. He fought these wildfires, then he came in, and he learned on the job. The Harvard school, like they're kind of focused on managing people and large organizations and not necessarily fires. Is the vibe I get.
And that works when times are good.
Yeah.
That works when the budget's balanced and there's no fires and you have all these extra things and extra time to focus on, like getting more lesbians. But now when a fire happens, shit hits the fan, you kind of realize what being prepared actually looks like. We have a clip from the fire department chief talking about diversity and how important that is.
I'm super inspired.
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I say, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that. She's quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
They feel included, they feel valued, and they feel part of a cohesive team.
Okay, so instead of focusing on getting strong men to be firemen, you are trying to find ways to get ladies involved so they feel included.
Firemen. It's in the name.
Yeah.
And we had to change it because the lesbian got control, right?
Yeah, so they're focused on inclusion and making people feel good. And then over the years, they've been trying to get rid of white guys. As a headline from NPR, firefighting is mostly white and male. A California program aims to change that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
is that good? Do we know? Are we going to figure anything out? Or like, we just don't want it to be what it is right now?
Exactly.
It's not like born out of a deficit or born out of like incompetence. It's just like, we don't like that. Some of those good high-paying jobs need to go to our lesbian friends.
Yeah, and then if you look at LA, they haven't had like a horrible fire situation. There's been the wildfires in Northern California, but like it seems like LA's been okay for a while. And then can you read the Matt Walsh tweet?
Los Angeles deliberately set out to exclude white men from becoming firefighters, and now they don't have enough firefighters to prevent their city from burning to the ground. DEI is a cancer that destroys everything it touches. And obviously that's what we think, and this sort of attention to DEI, when it comes time to emergencies, it's like anytime you spent not preparing for an emergency and then talking about DEI, calling in the news crew over DEI, it's like, it's just not a good look. Whether or not that really impacted something or not, people are going to judge it and look at it in like from a horrible lens, right?
Exactly. Especially when we get to the details of how much the firefighters have been struggling resource-wise.
Yeah.
Before we get there, keep in mind, too, LA got rid of a lot of really good firefighters because they weren't going to get the vaccine during COVID.
113.
Yep, removed. And then there's a tweet I saw here that summed up the firefighting lesbian situation the best.
The entire city of LA is on fire, and it's just a whole bunch of girl bosses in charge. Like, what do we do now? There's a reason men have been in charge of people's safety for like 10,000 years. LOL. I'm sorry if this offends someone.
That's what we're dealing with.
Fire them. Fire lady.
Yeah, it feels good to include everyone, and you're the fire chief.
You're the best.
You're the assistant.
We
We're
can
all
do
lesbians. We're wearing the outfits. We can do it.
Gee, it's a little white in here, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, what's that? It's burning?
Get the white guys out. We want to change everything. We're in charge now. And then the city burns, and no one. There's no water in the fire hydrant.
And you know what? It's obviously a zero-sum game. When you hire a lesbian, some competent, normal white guy didn't get hired, right? And they've obviously been discriminating against hiring-wise because they start from the bottom, you know? They start from the ranks. They don't just bring in someone to the high end. But another piece, which this might be a little weird for my thought process to go to, is when you pay one of these fire lady lesbians $400,000 for like some top job, it's like, couldn't that go to like some father of 6 who's running a family? What's she going to Bora Bora?
Yeah, who knows how to run a firehouse, maybe.
Yeah, no, and like I'm talking about just like money and like high salaries. Like obviously, if you create your own wealth or like start a small business, it's like enjoy it, lesbian. Go to Bora Bora, put in that wine freezer. You know what I mean? But there's part of me that like this is public taxpayer funded jobs. Wouldn't you kind of want to incentivize like some guy with a big family?
Yeah, because lesbians, if they don't have kids, they just go on vacation.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a great point.
So.
This next tweet summed up all of the issues in one concise format. Can you give that a read?
Yeah, so, I mean, we're not just attacking individuals here. There's a lot of actual things that have been mismanaged. Trump was talking about it on Joe Rogan, and here's a list of some of them. They didn't fill the reservoirs. They cut $17 million from the fire budget. That was the mayor's office who's responsible for that. They sent supplies to Ukraine. That seems to be everywhere. They fired firefighters for not getting the vaccine. They didn't comply with brush clearing, which is one of the major ones that everybody's been harping on for a long time. They halted prescribed burns. They let stormwater wash out to sea. But yes, this is all caused by climate change.
That's a big one. LA over the last 2 years had like record rainfall, and they just let it go out to the ocean. They didn't do anything to collect it and put it in the reservoir or anything. So that's not good. And then another
That's
part,
incompetence. You know, that's where it's just human decision making. There's a decision to be made, and they make the wrong one, and now they're kind of suffering with that. And like people who pay, well, the whole time we're talking about this, people in California, in LA specifically, pay some of the highest tax rate in the country.
Oh, yeah.
So you'd think they'd get more. You'd think they get better decision making, like higher responsibility and stuff. And their houses are so expensive, but no, they're not getting any of it.
And we're going to get to that. Before we do, this next person was defending and trying to save their parents' house. And listen to what she says about their insurance.
I know I'm not supposed to be here, but this is my parents' home.
I know the feeling.
And they just they got canceled from their fire insurance. So they're dealing with this. They're 90 years old. And through the state of California, because of this, they're 90 years old. That they've lived in this house for 75 years, and they've had the same insurance, and these insurance people decided to cancel their fire. And we're going through this, and it just happened, and they have no fire insurance.
No fire insurance.
Yeah.
One of the big names was State Farm. This says last year, State Farm canceled 1,600 policies in Pacific Palisades because the state would not allow them to raise premiums enough to cover their exposure. So this has been a lot
State of California there.
Yeah. So a lot of the fire insurance in these areas was just recently canceled in the last few months. And then all of a sudden, there's a huge fire that wipes everything out.
Crazy.
And then when you go over like who's in charge, like the Department of Water and Power, I believe it is, DWP.
Yeah.
Can you read that tweet?
It says last night in the Palisades fire, Los Angeles, DWP couldn't turn the fire hydrants on. And it appears from footage of downed live wires, it didn't turn the power lines off. So, and here's the lady, she's making $750,000.
And it's some lady.
I looked in, she has 5 kids. So my earlier point, at least they're going to somewhere. But yeah, we've seen videos of gas being left on and then like just open pipes with like a gas fire going. Power lines are downed power lines with a live wire and no water in the fire hydrants.
But all these jobs.
That's what they're for.
Yeah, all these important jobs.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's been a white guy before this, so we need to do the opposite of that. We're going to make it a black lesbian. We're going to do a person of color. Now shit's hitting the fan, and you have some ladies in charge of like the most destructive thing ever, but you had to get rid of them because they're not white guys.
Yeah, too many white guys in positions of power. And they love to say the phrase like those white guys just failed upwards. They just kept failing upwards. What is this then?
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next piece. Speaking of no water in the fire hydrant, someone was calling into the news and telling them that was the case. Then the news tried to cover and say, oh, we don't have any confirmed reports of that. And then listen what happens at the end of the conversation.
Former LA mayoral candidate and real estate developer Rick Caruso criticizing the city's response to the windstorm and fires. He says officials should have been more prepared.
The real issue to me is twofold. We've had decades to go remove the brush in these hills that spreads so quickly. And the second is you got to have water. And my understanding is the reservoir was not refilled in time and in a timely manner to keep the hydrants going. So that's a failure, whether on DWP's part or another city agency. But this is basic stuff. This isn't high science here. And it's all about leadership and management that we're seeing a failure of. And all of these residents are paying the ultimate price for that.
Despite what you have heard from Caruso, no firefighters have told us that they are running out of water.
And let's go out to Gigi Graciette. She is live in Pacific Palisades. I know your signal's not the best, but Gigi, what can you tell us?
Well, firefighters have told me they have no water on this block, and you may be able to make out the embers storm that we're in the middle of.
So the news is trying to cover, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. It's not about the lesbians and not having any water. And then right to the person on the street. Yeah, there is no water. The firefighters told us that directly.
Do you need to go to the Harvard School of Management to figure out you need water?
Fill the fire hydrants.
This is like a too far removed from the food situation where you're like worried about DEI, talking about DEI on TV or going to like a gala or something for like diversity in the city of LA. And you go to a gala and oh yeah, it's great. I'm the first lesbian. This is my lesbian assistant chief.
Not your typical firefighters.
I bet you didn't see that coming, huh,
I'm a
Trump?
lesbian and I'm wearing a tie.
And then they don't fill the reservoir with water during record 2 years of rain, right? So it's not rocket science. It's just hard-nosed shit. Tom Homan,
he fills the reservoir.
he fills the fucking reservoir.
He can carry the hose.
He gets in a 3-point stance and he fills the reservoir.
He throws you on his back and says, let's get out of here.
Yeah, gee, you need insurance? I got you.
Yeah, I got you insurance.
So, I mean, it's just mismanagement. It's not like hard, difficult stuff. That's what I'm saying. It's not like, oh, we need to interact with FEMA and this agency and that agency. It's like, do we have the water in the fucking reservoir?
And fighting fires we've been doing that forever. It's not like it's Space Force and we're like, all right, how do you shoot a gun in space?
Yeah.
It's firefighting. They've been doing it forever. You know how to do it, and then you just don't do it because you think you know better. You went to Harvard and you're a lesbian, and the city burns down.
Great Chicago fire, San Francisco fire. We've had cities burn down before. We know how it's done, and I would like to think we've improved, but it doesn't really look like it.
It doesn't look like it. And then we gave a lot of our stuff to Ukraine. LA County, it says here, LA County Fire Department donating surplus supplies to Ukraine's first responders. And can you read specifically what Natalie Winters wrote?
Yeah, Joe Biden's USAID has funded 16 Ukrainian fire departments with protective gear, motor pumps, chainsaws, rescue motor cutters, rechargeable spotlights, fire extinguishers, and hydraulic rescue tools. So that's, I think, two different things. That's one federal and one is specifically LA County donating things.
Yeah.
So
Ukraine's prepared.
Yeah. No, is Ukraine in the desert? Is Ukraine a desert?
Exactly.
Or is LA?
And then our next story here, these are guys who are specifically targeted for not getting the vaccine. Listen to what they say.
After the worst time of COVID, after the largest, most deadly spike, downtrends in death, my employer, a governing body, is deciding to mandate a rushed vaccine. Not only that it will be mandate, but it's a condition of my employment. We've gone from essential frontline worker to next on the chopping block.
Those guys look like they know how to put out a fire.
Those guys look like they would have good instincts on how much a reservoir needs to be filled.
Yeah, exactly. And then Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, she's messed up a lot leading up to this. Can you read some of these headlines?
Yeah, Bass's proposed city budget includes more funding for LAPD, but cuts for LA Fire Department. And the number going around is $17.6 million is what she cut from their budget recently. And then obviously during the beginning of all of this, she has since returned, but she was in Ghana attending a presidential inauguration.
Ghana.
What do we learn from Ghana? That's like a vacation. That's a fun trip. It's nothing.
I don't even know what it is.
It's a Western African country, I believe.
And you have to go there from LA.
That's what I'm saying. LA, like what's the fucking point, right?
And then she got back and she got cooked by a journalist.
This is actually the dream scenario for a journalist.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Can you back up? Appreciate it.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
Cooked her.
So she's like stuck on the jet bridge waiting for some sort of door to open. That's called a media kill box, where you can just ambush her with questions.
You got some guy ready to go with his camera.
Rattling off every mistake she's made. That's crazy. That's once in a lifetime shit. Like that doesn't happen. And Joe Biden's entire presidency was designed to avoid moments like those.
Yeah.
Where he might accidentally slip up or say something.
I had a moment like that with Jerry Nadler.
Yeah.
Where I ran into him once in a lifetime type thing and you get to say something directly to him.
What was that? Jerry Nadler was just getting in an Uber?
He was getting in an Uber.
It's like those are 1 in a million and he doesn't suspect you.
Yeah.
This guy, that's some strong arm shit, the way he rapid fired him, knowing she had nowhere to go. That's a kill box.
That was very good. And then Karen Bass was also the same person who tweeted about Ted Cruz not being in Texas during that cold storm a few years ago.
Yeah. And that was just Texas being pretty cold.
Yeah. And she was mad that he was on vacation. Meanwhile, LA's burning, and you're going to the inauguration of Ghana. Do they even have elections?
Probably not good ones.
And then we have a picture here. This is the most LA picture ever. A man pours almond milk on the fire outside of his home.
You know,
not making fun of people.
Yeah, that's not who I want to make fun of. That is a very LA picture, though.
But that is very LA. Yeah. And then our next story here, we have there's a bunch of people saying that the fires were started by arsonists, by homeless people, or even people doing it on purpose. So we're going to play a couple. We have one here, this guy during the daytime just, doing a fire, starting a fire, and it looks like everything's very flammable.
Yeah, he doesn't control his embers. He doesn't put it out with sand. He doesn't take care of it,
He's a stupid street rat. He probably has a rap record and should be in jail.
And then one of these things is the source of these fires or how they started will come out like in several months or maybe a year. But then there's also like this chaos coordinator, Antifa type mentality where like someone would be like, I'm kind of a fucked up guy. I might set a fire too. This was from a report on the Citizen app, which is like how neighbors communicate with each other. According to Citizen, there are 5 active arsonists in ski masks setting fire in and around the Hollywood Hills area.
In the Hollywood Hills area, there was a fire that was started, but it was in Runyon Canyon, and people were trying to say, oh, it's from power lines or the wind. There were no power lines up in Runyon Canyon.
Yeah.
So that another one started in the middle of the Hollywood Hills, and it was like 10 miles from the Palisades, so it wasn't blowover, and it wasn't from the downed wires from the wind. Mm-hmm. And then we have another video here. This is on Pico Boulevard, and these homeless people are or whoever they are just starting fires in the city environment.
We're at 302 Pico, and people are lighting fires now. You can see they lit a fire. These guys... Not all the people there, but some of those guys lit that fire, and they're actually, the trees caught fire, and then the palms are catching fire. So civilians are now lighting fires.
Look at those embers wicking up. And they were able to put that one out, like fire department got called. So
Good.
But it's still crazy. And then there's like that chaos portion of it where it's like, the whole city's burning. I kind of have a weird fetish for fires or something, or I want to add to the suffering. Like opportunists, you know what I mean? Kind of come and fuck around.
Sickos. And then our next story is the fire hydrants. A lot of fire hydrants over the years have just been stolen.
I think we covered it on the podcast at one point because it's like raw materials. It's like 80 pounds of steel or whatever it was. More than 80 fire hydrants were stolen across LA County, according to deputies, over $1 million in losses.
And that's the type of thing where they go, it's stolen, we'll put it in a report, and then it doesn't get dealt with, doesn't get replaced.
Yeah.
And that doesn't matter until now. Yeah. All right, this next piece is kind of long. It was written by Owen Benjamin on Twitter. It was very well written, and I wanted to kind of put it on the record.
2 of my friends' houses are burned to the ground. Fortunately, they left LA too because the detachment from reality there has gotten to a degree of collapse. 65% of your income goes to taxes, and they can't hire enough firefighters. They've had record rainfall, and they just send it all to the ocean. Even with the mega rich losing their homes, they'll still blame climate change because they're gone. They can't take accountability for anything. Even as the flames surrounded their homes, they still can't admit reality. Just stuck in these simulations like lab rats. You are never doing anyone a favor by going along with their insanity. The city of LA didn't even cut the gas or power. Now there's gas in everywhere. But at least they didn't get COVID-19 and the sodomites down the street had a wedding cake. Insane people are all over and you can live around them. But there's a critical stage when it reaches infrastructure collapse when you should leave to save your family. Society is like a human body. It all has to work together and be able to self-correct based on pain. Don't run from pain, listen to it, or you will burn.
That sums it up.
Yeah, it really does. And that's true. Like the incompetence reaching infrastructure level, that base level. And I completely agree with what he said. The high tax rate. And we've said this a bunch of times when, the mayor's going to Ghana. Chicago wants to do XYZ with their budget. This city, it's like police, firemen, stoplights, water, sewers. Like the city's basic function, and then that's the one you're neglecting, one of the base level functions, especially in a fire-prone area, is just retarded to me.
Yeah, me too. And this next post, this was from 4chan, I believe, but there was apparently like in 1920, California got a lot of Australian eucalyptus trees.
Yeah.
And can you read it? It's a lot of reading for Richard today, but it's an important news day.
1920, be Californian, get duped into buying Australian eucalyptus trees. Plant thousands of acres. Australians forget to mention it takes at least 100 years for the trees to mature. Thousands of investors go broke. 2017, 100 years later, eucalyptus trees have spread everywhere and have finally matured. Australians also forgot to mention the trees produce a highly flammable toxic oil that builds up in the tree. California burns down.
Yeah.
And I think that was in reference to some 2017 fires, obviously. But that's just another piece, right?
Yeah, a lot of those trees had that flammable oil. All right, and then moving on, this obviously was covered by everybody. Even Pigeon English had a article about this. Can you read maybe the first paragraph?
Yeah, BBC Pigeon says, wildfires for Los Angeles done take at least 2 lives. At least 2 people done die and dozens done injure as wildfire they burn, they go for Los Angeles. So far, they burn over 1,000 structure.
Glad everyone's getting the info.
It's like people are dying.
We're not laughing at that, but it's like, that's retarded.
I know. It's a retarded language. We have to lighten it up.
We're going to lighten it up a little bit, too. This guy did an interview off the cuff, and the news didn't know who he was or what he was going to say, and listen to what he said.
Yes, I can hear you. So the family with the poor little girl who was...
Fire happening right now.
Say that again?
Why is there a fire happening right now?
There are multiple fires that are taking place.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're in the news though. You're supposed to know.
Well, I don't know how it started. We don't know how it started. There,
I think it's all the gay people in LA.
Okay, everyone freaks out. I think it's all the gay people in LA, and that's dark to think of it that way. But there are a lot of gay people in LA and in charge of the fire department.
There is something to be said. I don't think they're helping.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're helping.
Yeah.
We just covered the fire department. They're all lesbians. We're mad at them.
And we're going to keep lightening it up as we end this section. Can you read this tweet?
Well, there's some, unexpected victims of the fire who kind of need to be elevated. Their voices, they're a little oppressed. So think of the polycules. A lot of polycules in Los Angeles are figuring out who's the primary right now.
It's very true.
I see this tweet is making people mad, but what if I told you this joke is from my own personal experience as a poly person who just realized I'm number 3 on the fire pickup list?
That happens too.
That'll really stress your polycule, All of a sudden you think you're number 2, and all of a sudden you're number 5, and you're left behind, and,
That's how it goes.
We feel for them.
We do. And then our last couple pieces from this section, there was potentially a UFO sighting on Fox News.
Couldn't help yourself, huh?
Well, I don't know what this is. What is that?
Shooting something.
That's low.
Yep.
Hopefully the aliens didn't do this.
Yep.
Hey, if the aliens put it out and then somehow made every house go back to how it was, that would be helpful.
Yeah. Nice. If I was a cat, I would be a cat too.
I'm just saying.
I don't even get your point here. You had to fucking ruin this whole section.
There was an unidentified flying something.
All right.
Was that the last piece of the section?
That was. Any final thoughts? I mean, this is horribly sad. People displaced, old people, 90-year-olds losing their house and stuff. And I think I saw Adam Carolla talking about it. He was doing a podcast from a hotel room or something. These people... There's some debate. The Owen Benjamin side says they're never going to learn their lesson. They're going to keep voting for retarded people and shitty policies. I don't know. There's some differing opinions. Is a lesson going to be learned? Are people going to vote for some hard-nosed, less DEI shit?
I heard there was a lot of looters, and then the people, Cernovich, I think, tweeted this. There were a lot of looters, and the people who got looted were saying they want the death penalty for looters, even though they voted for Kamala Harris and probably were voting for release the criminals when they steal.
Yeah.
But then when it happens to you in your nice house, now it's the death penalty. So people are going to wake up from this, which is a positive, but it's a lot of negative before that.
And jokes aside about a lesbian fire chief, it was a clear and visible mismanagement from multiple levels of state of California agencies that led to this being a lot worse than it should have been, right?
Exactly.
So...
All right, well, that takes us to our final page of housekeeping. Before we get there, make sure you tickle the post, help us juice the algo, leave a like, leave a comment again, then start yapping about what you want to yap about. Notifications need to be on, P.O. Box needs to be full, and old episodes need to be watched.
Okay.
All right, so everyone get that energy from the fire out. It's gone.
We're on a crazy streak, dude. 2025 is already starting out. Like terrorist attacks, crazy fires, bad shit.
Yeah, very bad shit.
And the thing with the LA, it's going to take us such a long time to rebuild some of those places, which is the craziest thing.
And where do all those people go?
Palm Springs? I don't know.
Do they stay in California? Do they go elsewhere? If you don't have insurance, you're really just fucked.
I saw somebody else said his friend lived in like a $4.5 million house, and somebody offered him $750 grand for the land. Like, spit on your hand.
Yeah,
I'll give it to you right now. Buy the bottom. So,
that's bad.
I know.
All right, that is actually the end of housekeeping.
You gonna skip all this?
It's too goofy.
Let's do the Costco guys one.
All right, let's show the Costco guys. That is a little more somber.
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your brother that passed away. He gets 5 big booms. Boom! 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 Boom!
Thank you, Costco guys.
They're sorry to hear about your brother who passed away. 5 big booms. What's the phrase? When you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
They got one tool, and it's booming for them.
No matter what, you're getting
whether
the
it's
boom.
condolences, congratulations, just married,
great food.
Yeah, it's all booms. So
it's all booms. All right, then our next story after that, we can finish it from here.
Okay. Don't quit on housekeeping just because we covered.
I feel like I'm showing like goofy stuff, and
you do that every week, though.
I know. All right, next, Demi Lovato got a real boyfriend, and she's not Pans anymore, or whatever she was.
Yeah, she looks normal. She's back.
She has a normal boyfriend, and this woman says, woman submitting to a man cures the queer disease. It's very true. When you're unstable and you're in a polycule or you're dating people who are weak because you're on birth control, it makes you kind of freak out.
It's not healthy.
It gets you out of control. You don't feel settled. Your nervous system's a little whacked.
Yeah.
But you marry or settle down with a stable man, you can kind of rest into your femininity and become a normal person again.
I wish her the best, you know?
Me
we
too.
all make mistakes.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
And then next we have a mewing before and after. We talk about that, breathing through your nose, putting your tongue on the roof of your mouth, mewing. Google it if you don't know how to do it. But look at this before and after. This kid's a Chad now.
That's nice.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And then you might look at the picture on the left, like if that's you or if you look like that, you might think, oh, I'm screwed genetically. I don't have a big chin. I don't have a good jawline. There is a way. You'll become as like hot as you can be if you do the right health stuff.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Okay, after that, Jamie, the artist from Arizona, I'm going to link her in the description. She made me a Rob Smith eating ceviche picture.
There you go.
Isn't that great?
That's your Christmas gift.
That's hanging on the wall.
And somebody else helped her too. H.M. Danielson was in on it.
And then, she had the booth in Arizona as well. Both artists, I listed them both in the description. Thank you guys. I love it. And it's hanging on my wall.
What's this?
That's my hand. That's my thumb.
Okay.
That's me holding it.
That's a bad look.
Does that look weird? Yeah. Does it look fat?
Fat hand gripping a painting like a Down syndrome guy.
Whatever.
All right.
Okay, then let's keep it going. Let's go to this first video.
Well, we're
going to finish housekeeping.
We went from skipping this whole section to
here
doing
was the first clip that was supposed to come, and I just didn't feel like doing that after everyone lost everything in a fire because of lesbians.
Yeah. Henchman.
That's how do you explain that?
It's things AI could not recreate. That's what I would explain that
That's how I would explain it too.
Eastern Europe.
And then this next one, I need you guys to tell me if this is real or fake.
What?
Do you think that's real or fake?
It was a good fake if it's fake. You
So
hear
AI
the sound and everything really going? You hear the sound?
Yeah, I don't know how they do it.
I don't believe it's real, but it's a really good fake if it is fake.
That was a good fake. All right, our last piece of fourth page of housekeeping is this tweet that Richard's going to read.
A midget fainted at Walmart today. I helped pick him up. Them things heavy as hell.
It's very true. And it's funny because if someone faints, you don't pick them up. So it's like just because it was a little person, you're like, oh, let's get this guy up.
Scoop him up.
He's right there.
Yeah, you give him water. Like you say, are you okay? You fan him. You know what I mean?
but he's got to pick them up, and they're heavy as hell, which is true. They're dense.
Yeah.
All right, that's the end of housekeeping. We're moving on to Cringe of the Week. All right, our first clip of Cringe. We hate on the drag queens a lot.
Okay.
You know, the drag shows, we just say it's like fat people lip syncing and drag.
It's bad entertainment, and then it's fake hype from the crowd. Yes, that's what we always say. That's long been our stance.
Until now. Now that is a show worth every penny. Let's get the kids to go see this.
Let's bring in the kids. They got to see the fat guy somersault.
I'm impressed.
I'm surprised you took this angle. I thought you were just going to be disgusted in general at this, but you like this. There is a threshold where it switches for you.
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay. All right. You're one of those guys.
See someone flipping around like that? That's rare.
Okay, so you're an entertainment first kind of guy. And ideology second.
And I don't.
So if the opposite, I'm kind of that way too in terms of like movies. Some gay, stupid director or like a Black Power director makes a really good movie. I'll be like, all right, I'll set it aside for now.
Yeah. Got to be fair.
Okay.
We gotta call it how we see it.
I thought it was just a fat, disgusting pig, half naked, doing D- gymnastics in a bar.
I liked it.
That's what I saw.
All right, our next story is a couple who, not misgendered, they used the wrong term to describe one of their ailments, and now they're apologizing.
Number one question we get asked is why Jax doesn't talk, and the reason is because they're selectively mute or semi-verbal. Previously, we used the term nonverbal, which is a more widely understood term, and a lot easier of an answer than having to go into all the information that this video will discuss. However, this takes away from individual visibility and representation of peoples who deserve their space. In other words, we were wrong. And we're super okay admitting that, having been presented with new words and definitions with information that better fits the nuance here. To be specific, non-verbal people do not have access to any words. And I'm lucky enough to be one of the ones that Jax uses words with selectively, i.e. selectively mute. Before we go any further, if you actually care, Google the words. They don't just have to be subjective to us, because obviously not every word or definition fits perfectly to each person. And even though we were corrected in an aggressive manner, we understand it's because people are defensive of these subjects, and rightfully should be.
That's right, bitch. Apologize for using the wrong words. That's the game you chose to play.
It's like your girlfriend doesn't talk, and she said she's nonverbal, which is non-verbal.
Perfectly describes the situation.
It's like, well, that's actually... So it's like when you have nothing going for you, you got nothing going on, you can like hyper-focus on nothing.
Yeah.
So, today I went to the grocery store. Well, actually, it was a supermarket. Well, that's not to say that grocery stores can't be super. I've been to a lot of bodegas that are great. And you just get into this thing where you're just like constantly explaining yourself and using the words and changing the words. And it's all just like a race or a contest to be the most righteous and good by offending the least amount of people.
Yeah.
Which is why you have to use the N-word and F-slur in your group chats.
Exactly.
To remove yourself from the contest.
Stand tall. And then, these people, like... It's funny when someone tries to make me play this game, like, oh, we don't say master bedroom, we say primary bedroom or something. I go, nah, I do whatever I want. These two can play the game. These two can get homework assignments and have to learn more. Enjoy it. That's what you signed up for.
They do the work.
That's what you signed up for. So enjoy doing the work. And you're going to get sidetracked when you use the wrong word. You know what I noticed while we're watching this?
That they're able to complain about this because their house isn't on fire?
These guys are like normal, attractive, regular people. Imagine these guys in a 1950s era, like the guy's in a sweater or a knit polo and he's about to go golf and she's in the kitchen with an apron on. These guys, they didn't fuck up their lives that bad. I guess she won't talk, but they could be normal.
Yeah.
They're not like the fat, neckbeard woman or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys could be a normal couple and they're doing it just with way extra steps.
So they have nothing going on. They didn't excel at anything.
I don't know what happened, man. But
now the only thing they can excel at is being the least offensive. And then when you do that, you have like a whole life in front of you where you're constantly busy.
Hey, I'll be praying for a Demi Lovato level resurgence, but she's led by this weak man, so it's over.
He's they them too. You're fucked.
I mean, he probably just liked her, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do some of this shit." And then now he kind of leads.
Oh, you have extra red hair dye? Yeah, I'll throw some on my face.
Put it on my mustache. I'm down, but yeah fuck them.
All right,
they're gone. They're gone. It's too late.
All right, our next guy is similar, but he has a different cause he cares about.
Yeah, man, that's murder right there, bro. Look, literally, the victim right in that burger is right here.
Look.
That's disgusting.
Hey, say guys, this looks some pretty mean fucking food, eh?
It's fucking disgusting, man. It's honestly really horrible.
It looks good, eh?
No, it doesn't look good.
It looks awesome.
I want you to imagine what that animal went through when you're eating their body.
It got shot in the head.
It's not okay.
It got skinned, it got gut, and then I have my feed.
It's a disgusting mentality to have, bro. You're no different to a racist, a sexist, but you're a speciesist. You see them as lesser than you, like a racist sees colored people less than them. A sexist sees women lesser than men. You're no different.
I think you're no different. You ever see a bear eat a deer? It's not a painless death and efficient. One time I saw a bear cut open a deer, the deer ran away, and then lived the rest of his life with his guts hanging out.
It's horrific shit out in nature.
One time I saw a skeleton of a deer because it fell like up to its neck in mud.
In a bog, like
and
in
Ireland. It starved in mud.
Yeah.
And one time I saw on a video a vulture eating an elk while it was alive.
Mm-hmm. Horrible deaths.
You're
in
a
nature.
piece of shit. It's like, what do you think happens in nature?
Yeah. And another piece of this too, it's like this vegan, right? He's in his own way in terms of like arguing for justice. He wants to get normal people who eat meat, which we need. You know, you need protein, and it's good for you, right? It's kind of like the OG human way of eating. It was mostly meat, but he's trying to get all the way to his worldview from like a guy who's eating McDonald's right now. And it's just so fascinating because he could make an argument about factory farming and the conditions that animals are in. And like, oh, do you know who owns this pork farm in North Carolina? It's Chinese people, and they pack pigs in, 10 and 8 square feet.
And then that would be like raising awareness, and I would go, oh, that is messed up. We shouldn't do that. We should factory farm them correctly so I can eat the bacon that's healthy.
Exactly. Do some ethical farming. Maybe I need to get in touch with a local farmer who's around me, buy a quarter cow. Like, those are all fine arguments. But then he moves to, this is just like racism, which is at all-time lows right now. For a certain percentage of America, the racism accusation and declaration is at all-time lows. It doesn't work anymore. So like Pussy Boy over here is just doing the worst possible argument technique he could. And who's he convincing on social media? People who are already vegans.
Yeah.
You know?
Real pathetic shit.
Yeah.
What a loser. What an F slur.
He should get into he should join the thruple with the two Jaxes.
Yeah.
Dye your hair red, join up.
They need another one who can talk.
Make him vegan.
And then our last piece of cringe, it's not so much a story, it's just a PSA kind of. Emma Stone debuts new pixie haircut at Golden Globes after she shaved her head and had wig speculation. Ladies, you don't cut your hair short like that. And if you ask your friends if you should cut your hair short like that and they say yes, they are not your friends.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of that. That's all I wanted to say.
That's easy. Get that on the record. Get that on the books. I agree.
All right, let's get into Urban Decay. All right, our first clip of Urban Decay is a guy overdosing, and the other street rats try to help him, and look how it plays out.
He doesn't need.
Give him milk. Give him milk.
He doesn't need milk, dude. He's fucking overdosing. Yo, he's fucking overdosing, dude.
Wheelchair guy, one leg guy.
Dude's overdosing. I got the kit. I called 911.
So this guy comes in with the Narcan, which is like an instant saving for an overdose.
What do you mean?
dog. Yo, come on.
Yo, give him let him get some time to breathe. It takes a minute to get out. Give him some time. Give him some time.
You don't need no more. Leave him alone. Step back. Need more milk, man.
More milk.
More milk.
Dog. Yo.
Oh, he's okay. That was close.
You just almost fucking died, dude. Dude just fucking saved your life. Dude just... Yo, he just saved your fucking... Dude, what the fuck? He just fucking saved your life.
So the guy saves his life and gets kicked in the nuts for it, while the other people are saying, more milk, more milk.
You know, this is actually dark, but like some people say like the Narcan just lets them keep doing it over and over again.
It's like a get out of jail free card.
People who would otherwise kind of die or like, you know, would have...
I'm not wishing anyone to die, but it's like if you're going to do drugs on the street, that's probably how you're going to die.
Yeah, and Narcan is just go 10 more years. And that's why you see people with like the infected My Requiem for a Dream vein or like the one-leg guy, the people with a giant elephant leg that's so swollen that you go, how the fuck did that happen? It's like, well, they probably got Narcan out of where they should have died 10 times.
Exactly.
It's like a reverse Final Destination. And then, except all you do is keep doing heroin or fentanyl.
Yeah.
Right?
Not enough to make you quit. All right, let's take Urban Decay into the New York City subway system. As we know, the congestion pricing has forced more people to use the public transportation, and obviously there's a lot of crime there. Yep. We have another guy who's just causing trouble, and listen to what he says. You can tell he's a repeat offender because he says it.
Came home, 25 to life. I killed my mom and dad, nigga. Are you proud of
that?
Nigga. In front of everybody, I'll blow your face off right now.
I'm ready anytime, man. I got 100 witnesses saying you just threatened this old man right here. Telling him that if he touches you, you're gonna f him. Exactly. This is a subway. We all touch each other. I'm telling you, you ain't f me. That's what I'm telling you. You ain't f nobody with me standing right here. That's what's happening. I don't care if you're gay. You can be gay.
Now, gangster.
Good. Everybody knows you're gangster now, so why don't you sit the f down and shut the f up?
So that guy is obviously getting in someone's face. He says, I was serving 25 to life and I just came home.
Yeah.
It's like, great. They let him
So
out.
they dump. Yeah, he's got a one-way MTA ticket.
And then we have a New York City...
That was an old video, but that's like kind of the average type of repeat offender who gets in someone's face. Like a regular guy wearing a button down who's commuting to his job that probably underpays him. They recently hired a bunch of H-1Bs that he's training to replace him. He goes on the subway and gets yelled at by the guy who just got released.
Exactly. And then there's a New York Post article from this week that said New York City sees staggering 146.5% spike in felony assaults by repeat offenders as top cops say broken system that keeps putting criminals back on the street.
Yeah.
And then can you read one of the paragraphs?
Suspects with at least 3 arrests on their rap sheet were charged with assault 442 times last year, up from 274 in 2018. Part of a pattern that shows wrongdoers are being cut loose too often, with the NYPD blaming soft on crime Albany lawmakers. And so that's what happens when you do that social justice policing when all those changes happened in 2020 where you're like, oh, well, we got to let him out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Can you read that middle paragraph later in the article?
With overall felony assaults surging to 29,400 in 2024, police brass say the most troubling trend is the revolving door of justice fueled by lenient bail laws that see repeat offenders back on the street and free to commit more crimes.
And
that's why, like, when we're talking about subway crimes and stuff like that, obviously, the chances of you getting sucker punched in New York are pretty slim, right? It's like there's 1 million people on the subway every day, or, I don't know the number. It's a large number, though. Maybe 1, maybe 2 happens. But the fact that it's happening to strangers, people are doing it to strangers, and you know that they're not keeping people in jail makes your brain kind of like spike up and be a little more worried about it, right?
And especially, these are the stats. How many people get punched in the face and then just go to work and don't feel like doing a police report?
100%.
I bet it's 1 for 1 for every, or more. For every one person who's officially arrested for felony assault, there's probably 10 people that got assaulted and just didn't, I got punched. It wasn't a huge deal. I'm just going to work.
Yeah, this is New York City's version of no water in the reservoir. we just let criminals back out.
Yeah.
And then like people die from certain ones, you know?
And then this woman who was a congestion pricing advocate, she was attacked in the subway station as the $9 toll pushes people into mass transit. Can you read what happened in the article?
Yeah, she basically just got spit on and roughed up by somebody. And it's not that serious, but this is kind of the typical abuse. Like, she's one of the people who maybe a guy on his way to work on Wall Street wouldn't have reported it, but she did because she like twisted an ankle. But of course, police say Timothy Elliott, 45, was nabbed at the station and charged with assault and harassment. He was released on a desk appearance ticket, cops said.
You better make sure you come to your court day.
Yeah, and he just goes and does it to someone else.
And you just let him out. So the person who is an advocate for congestion pricing, she gets attacked, he gets arrested, and let out in the same day.
Classic.
But this is good news, there are ways to avoid the congestion pricing if you get creative, as you can see in this next clip. I believe this guy's crossing like the Brooklyn Bridge or something, and he's on a scooter. I don't think scooters need to pay anything. He's
no
on
license plate, no pay.
No license plate. And you're also on a scooter on like a 50 mile per hour speed zone. And it's the most dangerous thing probably ever. And look how wobbly he is.
Yeah, not athletic enough to be doing that. And he keeps looking over his shoulder.
All over the world, all over the road.
Classic.
Yeah. And then this guy who is in charge of the MTA.
Yeah.
And I believe he makes $400,000 a year.
Ooh, another presidential salary.
Yeah, listen to what he said about it.
Last year, we were actually 12.5% less crime than 2019, the last year before COVID. But there's no question that some of these high-profile incidents, terrible attacks, have gotten in people's heads and made the whole system feel less safe.
So the MTA boss says that it's all in your head that you're feeling less safe only because you're seeing it. But then we have the graph. Here's the graph, felony assaults 2000 to 2024. It's a straight line up.
Yeah. And, again, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, yeah, he might be talking about data specifically on the subway or on the MTA, which he probably has access to, you know what I mean? But it's the same thing where people are going to the back of their head, wait, I just heard about the story where somebody got released. This guy just got let out. They're all getting let out except for the most serious offenders. Remember when we showed that woman with the Labradoodle who got absolutely sucker punched by a guy who crow hopped into her?
Yeah.
A knockout punch? And then that was a misdemeanor?
Yeah.
And then what we were talking about is felony assaults. So what's a felony assault versus a
felony
misdemeanor?
assaults are down.
Yeah.
We just changed the definition of it, and then old ladies getting knocked out, that's a misdemeanor, so there's actually less felonies.
It's like one of those cartoons where you like push something down and you're like, okay, and then boop, it pops up over here. It's like however you recategorize it, it doesn't matter to us. We're just repeat offenders are sucker punching people. They're slashing people. And people are aware of it, and the management of the city is kind of unacceptable. People know it.
All right, let's get into our next piece of Urban Decay. We have a fight that happened in high school. Watch what happens here.
What'd you say?
Your shirt's up and your pants are down.
What'd you say?
Sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up.
You said what?
I said sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up. You heard me the first time.
Oh my god, King! Stop fucking calling me, nigga. King, nigga.
Back off.
Shut up, bitch.
Try.
There you go. I have this thing where if a kid does a crime, the parents should go to jail.
Yeah, I'm with you, but that'll only be used against some sort of white kid.
Yeah, that's true.
Won't be used on this single mom who's running this guy's household.
Yeah, that's true.
So
the
I have a dream that one day this kid will face consequences, and yeah, I don't think he will.
And we're going to get into some of the stats. There's a whole year, 2024 crime stats that were just released. Before we do, we're going to show this story. New Jersey ends basic reading and writing skills test requirements for teachers.
Yeah, so teachers will no longer have to pass a reading, writing, and mathematics test to teach in New Jersey public schools. Critics of the test had argued that it was an artificial barrier that disproportionately impacted teacher candidates of color.
Math and writing.
Do teachers need that? Does the reservoir need water? Do teachers need to be able to read?
Yeah.
And this is something we covered before. I don't know if you remember it, but there was a lawsuit that was like a long ongoing lawsuit where people got, it was like in the billions of dollars that the city of New York or the state of New York settled with Black and Latino teachers because they failed teacher entrance exams. You remember we covered that?
I do remember that.
So I think this is the state of New Jersey just preempting that and being like, oh, geez, we might be open to multiple $1 billion of litigation just because some retarded teachers couldn't pass a test, the same test that everybody got.
And then if your teachers can't write or do math or read, or they're not going to pass the test to be a teacher, what are they going to teach?
So we're at the point where anything that disproportionately impacts Black or brown people is like from a state level is going to be avoided. And then who pays the price? Society at large gets worse, right?
Exactly. All right, next we have a looter who's looting 7-Eleven for the third time.
I don't want a mess, man. Come on, man. Please, sir. Please.
Wait.
Please.
So this is a new type of looting. This is called shopping looting.
Yeah.
Where you're like looking for...
You come third time over here, please. Please.
And he did all the looting while on speakerphone.
Yeah. And he's shopping. It's not even it's not smash and grab and get out. It's like he's browsing.
He's aggressively looking for what he wants, and based on his energy, is not going to pay.
Yeah.
We actually have some new crime stats, like we said. Everyone talks about black crime.
Yeah, it's interracial crime stats.
Interracial crime stats. And I don't know, not everyone covers this stuff, but here on the show, we don't hold back.
Yeah.
Can you read the numbers are in?
2024, blacks killed 458 whites. Whites killed 84 blacks. The United States is 13.7% black and 58.4% white. Blacks are 23 times more likely to kill a white person than whites are to kill a black person.
Very interesting. But according to Joe Biden, our biggest threat as a nation is this.
Terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today. Not ISIS, not Al-Qaeda, white supremacists.
And here's where it gets interesting. A lot of people think that the black crime rate is because of income levels or because of fatherlessness. And
that's the cop-out. They say poverty.
It's poverty. It's acts of desperation. It's people don't have a father because the prison system unjustly locked them up, which we know is not true. They let everyone out. We actually have some facts that go against that.
Yeah, this tweet is from Jeremy Kaufman. He says, a fact that changed my perspective on multiculturalism. At all income levels, blacks are 5 to 10 times more violent and criminal than whites. Crime rates will vary by region or income, but inside of any subgroup, the ethnical ratio seems to hold. If you know contradictions, please share. This fact hasn't changed how I interact with any black individual. The majority of blacks are non-criminal. And facts about groups are never conclusions about individuals, which is so true. But facts about groups are still facts. If the proposal is to change the demographic makeup of America, it is not woke to notice that this is likely to change America.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and that's kind of the foundation. You don't treat anybody differently or whatever, but sometimes you have to have harsher punishments or, 3 strikes or certain
you got to be realistic. If you're walking at 2 a.m, and there's a Chinese woman walking towards you or a group of black teenagers with their hoods up.
And they're running out of the 7-Eleven.
They're not the same.
Yeah.
You don't treat it the same.
Not everything's
And there's a tweet here that talks about fatherlessness, which is another cop-out for explaining the crime rate.
Yeah, it says when fatherlessness happens via a death of the father, child outcomes are pretty similar to 2-parent families. This indicates the issue is not fatherlessness.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah. So divorce or non-marital birth and then death. So they kind of carved out those things in this study. And it makes sense to me because here's a tweet. It said Europe had 2 interwar periods with lots of dead fathers. It did not develop black crime rates.
It's very true.
And I think part of that too is like, imagine you're with your mom and you're being raised and then she's telling you stories of what your dad used to do. And, oh, he used to be a fireman and he did this and he worked hard. He was a big football player. You kind of have like some mental image of who you want to live up to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's different levels versus like, I ain't know who your dad is. You know?
Oh, I caught your daddy playing on the phone with another girl.
I mean, that's dark, but like, imagine that. Like, that's so weird. And for a kid to grow up, it's like, what are you going to do? Oh, I could join that gang. I could go fuck around and steal with my friends. I'll face no discipline at home. It's a slippery, dark path, right?
It's a very slippery, dark path, but we can't get too down or too depressed about it because we're moving on to Uplifting Gold. All right, our first clip from Uplifting Gold. Someone bailed. There's guys online who do these bits where they'll go to a jail and they'll pay a bail for someone to come out.
Like cheap bail.
Cheap bail. And then these guys did it, and look what happens when the criminal comes out.
On the top and side of the bottom.
Kev, that's you? Yeah. Yeah, we just bailed you out, bro. What's up?
Come on, man.
No, we just bailed you out.
But why? I ain't got nowhere to go. I'm homeless, man.
We just go around bailing people out.
But where am I going? Come on, man. Why you bailing me out, though?
I'm saying we do like goofy bails and stuff. Relax.
I ain't got nowhere to go. I got nowhere to sleep. It's cold out here.
We gonna get you something to eat.
Find a place how you can get me back in there.
We gonna get you.
How you get me back in there? That's pretty funny. You don't really see that.
Sometimes the street rats yearn for the structure. You know?
And people say that prison is kind of fun.
Some do.
It's not ideal, but if you're in it, it's not as bad as you think. You kind of make friends, and if you're not violent and you're in a normal place, it's just a bunch of guys hanging out.
Yeah, if you're a barely literate, non-functioning, chemical dependency guy who lives in a cold northern city during winter, prison's not that bad.
2 meals a day.
Yeah.
Next is a guy who's visiting his friend in the hospital after surgery, and he does a Dr. Now impression. Dr. Now's from that TLC show, like 1,000.
My 600-Pound Life?
600-Pound Life, that foreign doctor who's very harsh.
Hello. How are you feeling? I'm doing good. So we got you in this surgery today. You're good. So you're ready for the 1,200 calorie diet that we're going to put you on. Now remember, you cannot sneak any food in here. If we do, then we will take you off the program.
Hello. That's funny to me. It's uplifting.
Yeah.
Okay, now the next 2 clips are impressions. So the first is we'll just let it play.
Right.
I can sound like a black people.
Huh?
I can sound like a black people.
Oh, you can.
You want to hear?
Oh, okay, girl.
Girl, you have to mind your own business.
Oh my goodness. You better.
Girl, you have to mind your own business.
You better tell me. Where you from, girl?
I'm from Indian.
Indian? You from Indiana?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta mind your own business.
See, that's pure. That's not racist.
That's not racist. It's no big deal.
That's a very specific impression of something that she clearly heard.
Yeah.
And I like the black lady is entertaining it and is funny, but she goes, "Go ahead, girl." And then the girl starts with, "Girl, you better mind your own business." So it's like it's dead accurate. Yeah. It's proof right there.
Oh, man. All right, next is a guy who had a severe injury and he only can communicate with a computer now, and listen to what he says while he's walking with his wife.
She drugs me to keep me vegetable. She drugs me to keep me vegetable. She drugs me to keep me vegetable.
I will just come with me.
Please, Mom. I don't want to be a vegetable anymore. Are you stealing, Mom? Are you stealing, Mom?
Mom, no one's wondering if you're stealing, I guess.
Are you stealing, Mom?
Stop it. Seriously.
And she turns it off. She drugs me to keep me a vegetable.
Hey, you're a vegetable still doing bits? That's an indomitable human spirit, I would say.
If that's you, we'll send you a bunch of shirts.
Well, I don't know. We'll send you maybe
a blanket.
Yeah, a blanket.
All right, next is, we showed this on one on Tuesday, but this is a gender reveal gone wrong. Shot it directly in Grandma's face.
Yep.
That's
Some
pretty
people
good.
don't read instructions, and that's how Grandma gets shot.
Yeah, unfortunately. All right, our second to last clip. This dog is having a little bit of a tantrum.
No, you're not getting dinner. You're bad. No, you're not getting dinner. You was bad. So?
I like that guy.
I like that dog too.
That's my type of dog. But you have to clean the folds too much if you own him.
He has trouble breathing at night. I love that breed though. I love
Yeah.
that type of guy. You really slap him on the side.
Yeah, thick, nice boy,
And
sturdy.
he's communicating.
He's an Ottoman.
Yeah. Well, he knows something's up. He knows he's not getting food. He knows how to get it.
All right. And then our last clip is kind of a shout out. Remember on Tuesday, I shouted out Rob, a show watcher who I met for lunch and had a great lunch with.
Yeah.
He's actually in a band and he plays trombone. So I'm going to feature one of their songs. That's him on the right playing trombone.
Wow.
Isn't that pretty good? That's Rob. He moves like that.
Attaboy, Rob. Nice work.
Nice work. He's
That's
a show
you.
watcher.
He's a twink.
Yeah, we're kidding.
I know.
It was a joke.
I know.
I didn't want you guys to think that's actually Rob. But that's good to punk people like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of the show. We have a couple shout outs. Happy birthday to Jessica Frausto on January 4th. We missed it, but your lovely, great husband got us the info. So happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday, Jessica.
And that's it. Happy Friday, everyone. If you're still watching to this point, FleckisTalks.com for a 30-minute bonus land dropping right now. And then also Henchman Maxing 2. We have the trailer playing at the very end of this episode, so stick around for that. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. We will see you on Tuesday.
Let go to plane. It's all but go to Barca's Papas.